All right, I've seen the first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2. And so there's good and bad and disturbing. Yes, yeah. So, first episode starts off in spectacular fashion. It's actually really good. It's the best of the 3. Of course, there's some action scenes here. Andor's got a mission. It takes place a year after the first season. So he's already on this mission. Well, everything goes to hell and whatnot, and that's all well and good. You shift to Mon Mothma, and she's got to set up the wedding for her daughter. That's this arranged marriage and all that sort of thing that they detailed in the previous season. But since it is a year later, you would have thought a lot of this probably would have happened already. But anyway, whatever. And nevertheless, it goes back and forth between her and Luthen, who's awaiting to hear from Andor on this mission he's on. And meanwhile, like I said, everything goes to hell. The mission is just a big cluster, F. And Andor ends up being captured by these idiots. And there you go. That's the first episode. After that, it's shades of Daredevil. Everything slows way down, and a lot of padding, wasting time on something that should have been probably wrapped up in the first episode. I mean, I guess they wanted a cliffhanger of sorts, so that's how they did it. But this situation with Andor being stuck, it literally stuck in the mud, basically, and it just drags on for this episode, and soap opera elements here and there. Well, it's the first episode details what the Empire's interests are, and so that's the main plot point here overall. Of course, it all goes back to the development of the Death Star and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's nothing to spoil ultimately, because you know how this ends. Rogue One. Of course, even Rogue One, you knew how it ends. They get the plans, and the rebellion gets a hold of it and figures out there's a weakness in the Death Star. So, yeah, but still, the performances are good, but for the most part, it's just because it is what it is. They're posing to a lot of these scenes. And that are dragged on unnecessarily. A lot of this should have been tightened up, and I can sit here and say, well, the fair thing for it is that this is the first 3 episodes, and so maybe the others will pick up and it'll be fine. But man, why waste the time on these other characters and whatnot? I seriously doubt any of them would become of any significance later, to be shoehorned in or what have you. It's just unnecessary padding, and you're really in no position for fooling around with things like that, with the damage to the brand. Now, Andor was never going to save Star Wars or anything. It's not in the position for that. It could have done further damage, but it didn't, unlike Acolyte that tries to rewrite stories and all that sort of thing. Andor doesn't do that. And of course, its other major flaw is that it just doesn't come across as Star Wars at all. It's this interesting, intriguing show, and it would have been so had it had nothing to do with Star Wars, which might have been better for it. But that's all pretty much well established for the last season. So it's one of the few projects, other than the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, that's been worth even looking at, that they've done for these Star Wars streaming shows. Skeleton Crew was cute and nice, and so that's about it. You got 3 entities, if you will, and that's about it. Can it pick up? It's possible. Like I said, this is reminding me so much of Daredevil. Daredevil begins in spectacular fashion, and then slows immediately down to a slow crawl and really never picks back up. The final episode, even if it had been great, was not going to salvage the time wasted in it. And if you don't have the material for that amount of episodes, then you need to shave them off. You need to shorten this. So this is just a lot of time and money squandered for the most significant elements to it was a handful of scenes, and that, you know, and so I failed to see the necessity of squandering time like that. And certainly some of the effects required for this scene that slows way down. I'm trying to not spoil everything. You just shouldn't have done it like that. I mean, that whole thing could have been wrapped up, like I said, in the first episode. Now they wanted it for the cliffhanger thing, so you're in the second one, but to drag it on like that and to the idiot way it ends, because it's one of those things. As long as you don't think about it too much, but it's a little hard to do when. Well, let me put it this way: a certain confrontation is resolved with rock, scissors, paper. And then something else happens, you know, by chance, that really, for the people that were stuck on this planet, they should have known the potential for something like this. And anyway, if you saw it, I guess you'll get what I'm saying. But it was really stupid. So if they can get through this and they get through the third episode, which is another long crawl, it's kind of like a bookend where, you know, the series opens up in spectacular fashion, and then there's this sort of spectacular rescue at the end, but doesn't compare with how the series opened. But you know, episode 4 may change everything. The one thing it's got going for it is I haven't heard any stories about needing massive reshoots or anything like that, like Daredevil did. Daredevil, they were stuck with a turd and they tried to polish it, and that's not going to work. So Andor, for whatever reason, decided to waste more time on foolishness. I don't know that it's as bad as them wasting time on the backstory of Andor. He was in this Lord of the Flies situation with his sister as a kid, and then gets adopted, you know. And I don't know if they're going to pull this thing and reveal, you know, what's her name is actually his sister or something like that. Or if after everything's over with and you know, or they'll do like an epilogue to the series that takes place after Rogue One. And we'll find out, oh, there's another Andor, and it's his sister, and she's even more of a badass than he is. And that's the idea, is that there would be this spin-off series for this new character. Maybe they'll do that. I just don't think it's going to attract the eyeballs to it, because Andor had a lot going for it that was really good, but it was not going to attract the Star Wars audience, because it's so far removed to templates and approaches that Star Wars has always presented itself as. And the only way this could have worked, had it or any shot really, was if Star Wars was healthy. And of course it isn't. So no one was interested in giving this a shot. And likewise, no one's interested in giving any of it a shot, I suspect. I mean, the Skeleton Crew show was an okay show. It was a cute little show. It started off with some stupidity in it, but, you know, that's a sign that, we're done. It's the same thing. As bad as Daredevil was, you didn't know that going into it, but that's the thing. Most people didn't go into it. So there's an overall brand problem there. And of course, Star Wars is really no different. So there you go. Oh, there was also some nods to preaching about current day politics as well. Yeah. Big mistake. Again, what are you in any position to do? You're not in a position to do that either. Not really. Because it's not going to fit in with the credibility of the narratives and anything like that. It's going, oh, you're preaching to me again. And you just kick them right out of your show, your film, what have you. And very foolish. But there's still episode 4 coming, so we'll see what that does. But right now, man, that's 1 out of 3 episodes. That's a bad start.